Welcome to Lessons from Toku, a series where we look beyond the action, the explosions, and the special effects to uncover meaningful lessons hidden within some of Tokusatsu's most memorable stories. In each episode, I'll break down a single story, a character, or a theme from across the world of Tokusatsu and explore the practical life lessons, advice, and insights we can take from it. Whether it's about courage, perseverance, responsibility, friendship, or personal growth, these stories often have more to teach us than we might realize. So let's dive in and discover what these heroes, villains, and adventures can teach us about our own lives.
Now on Kicks, Power Rangers Wild Force!
The episode starts off with an old man practicing some martial arts, and then an orc spirit immediately enters some samurai armor and challenges him to a fight. Within 6 seconds, he loses. The Duke Orcs, Jindrax and Toxica, immediately manage to locate Samurai Orc, and Master Orc has a gift for him, which is a sword, which he wants him to use to defeat the Rangers. We then cut to Alyssa, Danny, and Max at a park, training. Alyssa then absolutely cleans the floor with Danny and Max. Max says that she got off lucky, but Danny says that she's been lucky for the past 4 months, and it's only now that they question where she learned her martial arts from, and she says that it was her dad that taught her. They go back to the animarium, where Cole asks Danny and Max how the training went, and as expected, Alyssa has defeated them both. After trying to give excuses, Taylor shows them a newspaper report in which Alyssa has been awarded some type of environmental award. Alyssa then gets a call, and it's her dad saying that he's in town and would like to see her. So is there a mobile provider for growl phones now? It's a morpher, how does that make sense? Alyssa then says that after her college is done, she can meet up so they can have some time together. Just before she heads off, Danny asks who it was on the phone, and she says that it was her dad. She then turns around and brags that he once fought an ox.
And won.
We then get a small glimpse into Alyssa's day-to-day life outside of being a ranger. We see her in college, going to class, acing some tests, going to some type of dance yoga or something, and also studying in the library. We then cut to 2 men training on a bridge, and Alyssa's dad pops in and sees how well they're doing. We then go back to Alyssa, and she sees that there's a poster about a karate club. We get a flashback about Alyssa in her earlier days. We see her facing off against about 10 guys, and still, yet again, she was cleaning the floor with them. She goes to her dad and says that she wants to go to Turtle Cove University, but her dad does not approve, as he sees her as throwing away everything that he's taught her. We then do another cutback, Sensei Kasaki talking to Alyssa's dad, and he says that now that he's getting older, his body can't keep up. So, within due time, his son will take over the dojo. He asks Alyssa's dad about when she will take over his dojo. He says that because Alyssa has gone to Turtle Cove University, and Relay Tiger Style will end with him. Alyssa gets a call from Princess Shayla saying that Samurai Org is attacking the city, and Alyssa has to now go and leave her lecture to go and fight. She then meets up with the team and faces off against Samurai Org. We see Alyssa's dad getting to their agreed upon meeting place just at 3 o'clock sharp. Another 16 minutes later, Alyssa's dad starts wondering where Alyssa is. Little does he know, Alyssa and the team have been fighting Samurai Org all this time. He then tries to investigate where she is and goes to her lecturer, but he's not happy because she interrupted his lecture. We then get another flashback of Alyssa still begging to go to Turtle Cove University. Her dad then says he will agree, only if she's able to stop a sword strike from him. Unfortunately for her, she couldn't pass the test, and she failed to catch the sword. After seeing how intent she is on still going to university, even after failing the test, Alyssa's dad gives her the blessing to go and study. After pondering on the flashback, we see Mr. Enrile being quite disappointed, as the expectation for her was so high, as she had set all her intentions set on going to university. But after hearing that she ran away from the lectures, it doesn't make sense to him. An explosion happens not too far away from the university, and Mr. Enrile decides to run towards the explosion to see what's going on. We see Alyssa constantly getting winds of strength to try and attack Samurai Org, but again and again he keeps blocking her attacks. As Samurai Org charges towards her, she stands still, and as Samurai Org is making one huge blow, Alyssa manages to catch his sword. Upon seeing this, Mr. Enrile now 100% knows that it's Alyssa who's a ranger. After catching the sword, it's now the beginning of the end for Samurai Org, as she not only breaks the sword, but also dodges his blasting attack and manages to jump up in the air with the help of her team and strikes him down. Samurai Orc grows into its giant form. The Wild Force Rangers form the Konga Megazord. On the verge of being defeated, the White Tiger Zord comes in and saves the Rangers, giving them an opportunity to recoup and defeat Samurai Orc. After the battle, Alyssa runs off to try and meet her dad, and we get a flashback of Alyssa listening in to a conversation her dad is having with her mother. She hears her dad saying that he will support her no matter which decision she makes. Alyssa manages to find him. He at least managed to see her, as he can tell her that he's proud of her and loves her. And he also turns around, revealing that he now knows that Alyssa is the White Ranger. And they walk off to the bus stop laughing. The lesson that I took from this episode is that your roots determine who you are. Even though her future was not what her father had laid out for her, it doesn't mean that she was throwing away her foundation. When Alyssa told her dad that she had intentions of going to Turtle Cove University, he saw it as her completely abandoning everything that he had taught her from the day she was born up to that moment. But here's the thing. Alyssa never said that she didn't want to take over a relay fighting style. She never said that she didn't want to take over the dojo eventually. She only said that she wanted to go and study nature at university. What threw her father off was the fact that he laid down an entire future for her, and yet she chose a different route. When Mr. Enrile went to see the battle, he eventually ended up realizing that Alyssa was using everything that he had taught her to defeat Samurai Orc. When you look at the exact point that Alyssa managed to get enough strength to defeat Samurai Orc, you can see that it was at the point where he insulted her family style. Not her, but her family, her roots. We can see through Mr. Enrile's facial expressions that he isn't happy about the path that Alyssa took, as he had completely drawn it out for her. But at the same time, he is proud at the fact that she had her mind focused on what she wanted to do in becoming an environmentalist. When Mr. Enrile goes to where the explosion happens, we can see that once he realizes that Alyssa actually didn't abandon everything that he taught her, he changes up. He saw that she used this fighting style that he taught her, but she also passed the test. If you remember in the earlier flashback, Alyssa's dad said that he would let her go to university if she passed the test by blocking the sword, but she failed. In both circumstances, she was fighting for her life, but in a way, fighting Samurai Orc and blocking his sword meant that it wasn't only for her, but for the sake of the entire world. All the discipline, courage, dedication, and compassion still remained in Alyssa. She never turned around and tried to remember what she had been taught previously. She was using what she had always kept with her. Remember, right at the start of the episode, she had defeated Danny and Max for 4 straight months by using a relay fighting style. Even though Alyssa didn't walk in her father's footsteps, she did always carry them wherever she went. Talk about honoring your roots. Having solid roots helps you stay grounded and firm in who you are and gives you identity. And that's perfect with how Alyssa's character is. Someone who's quite grounded. She's both serious and yet not overly serious. She's still light-hearted, loving, kind, and nurturing. Another small thing to note is the fact that Alyssa's name means noble. Looking at her character as a whole, she definitely lives up to that name in my eyes. What we can take from this episode is that we should always have solid foundations and use them to not only stand in who we are, but take ourselves further than what we're expected to become. If I was to give a task for this lesson, it would be to 1. Discover what your name means, and 2. Discover your roots. That may mean asking what country your family is from, what traditions and rituals they do, and also how you can build upon that foundation. I hope you all enjoyed this episode.
Where'd you learn to fight like that?
My dad. He taught me everything I know.